Hey, Gator Nation, welcome back to Respect Our Decision, Pot of the People, guys. As you know, this is our weekly Q&A show that we do for you, the fans of the podcast, where you send in the questions and we give our best answers, our opinions on these items. As always, guys, I'm your boy Hirsch. With me, the hype man Wes.
What's good, Gator Nation?
Our man CJ, the man McCann, is still on baby duty. The good news is young lady is home and everybody is healthy. So continued prayers for them. And CJ should be back next week. As always, guys, make sure you go out there and download this wherever you get your podcast from. And if you're checking us out on YouTube, maybe this is your first time stumbling across the channel, go ahead, hit that subscribe button and drop a like on the video, guys. It helps us out a great bit. And we surely appreciate all of you for tuning in and your engagements in these questions. But we're going to jump right into it, guys. First question, Lucas, the Gator Man. Thank you as always, Lucas, for sending in your questions. Going into the spring, are you guys more optimistic giving the hires and the portal additions? Wes, I'll throw that one to you.
I am very, very optimistic about where we will be at as far as on the field. I don't know if the results will be the way that a lot of our outrageous fans want them with that schedule, but I feel like the performance on the field with the coaching and being in another year, especially on defense, year two with Armstrong, I think that'll play benefits with some guys coming back and being in that system. We play a lot of younger guys on that defense. You have Mertz coming back on offense. His year two, whether it's in Billy Napier's system or we hopefully be thinking that we might get a new OC. So I feel good about the on-field performance. If I just want us, if we lose, I want these. I don't want to be having any blowouts. And I think I talked about that last week on the part of the people as well. As far as I don't want five blowouts, then I'll feel like we're regressing. But I want the performance on the field to matter more than the wins and losses as far as going up this year.
I agree. I'm a lot happier about the portal additions that we got this year versus last year for daggum sure. Um, Especially when you end it with getting that great safety commit from Asa Turner. He's only going to have 1 year, but you're just trying to bridge that gap to these young guys already. And I mean, these young guys are going to play anyway, but having that veteran leadership in some of those rooms will help. So Ryan Guerin asked, do you ever see FSU ever making it to the SEC? It seems like a few teams, including us, are putting up a stink. I think if FSU made it to the SEC, they would instantly regret being there because they would never be as good as they think they are. Ryan, I agree with your second half, but I do not believe FSU will ever make it to the SEC. And it's for one simple reason, and that's TV rights, TV contracts. FSU doesn't bring any new TV markets to the SEC right now. They just don't. Like I could, the teams I could see the SEC being interested in are North Carolina or Virginia, markets that they don't currently have, state markets. That's what they're looking for. You just got Oklahoma. You got a bigger piece. So you can take two Texas teams because Texas is the size of 4 or 5 states. And there's that state split into so many schools.
And
TCU,
Texas is Texas. The
yeah, Texas
University of Texas,
is a blue
yeah.
blood university,
Yeah.
and they're as hot as fire right now, and they got more money than Well, I almost said Elon, but they don't. But they're pretty close. They got a lot of money out there. But no, FSU, the SEC has no need for FSU. That's the difference. FSU needs the SEC. The SEC does not need FSU at
Facts.
all. Bo Dolls ask, who may be on the outs to make room for more spring transfer portal players? Wes, you got any thoughts on anybody else that might be gone? Maybe somebody in the receiver room.
Yeah, there's a couple guys that and I think we talked about this as well in the last part of the people. It may be some guys that may be finishing the degree in the spring that you may see get a degree because I think Hirsch answered this question last week that as much as we harp on we're turning to academic school that the scholarship does. I mean, not the scholarship, the degree does matter. And I think some guys that will complete their scholarships this spring, maybe, or this summer, may transfer out. I think we saw Emory Jones do that a couple years ago. So maybe it's a couple of receivers, my guy Frazier, that I thought would have stepped up and been a guy last year. I think we have I forgot the other kid's name, and he made some plays last year. So he's a guy that if he goes to another school that probably could put up some stuff. What's the fast guy name that's been here for a while? It was all about speed with him. I can't remember his name at the top of my head. I apologize.
That's why he could probably go. You can't even remember who
Yeah,
he is.
yeah. I can't. He's kind of slim and tall. He thought about going a couple years ago and he stayed. And you guys have put probably in the comments his name, but I don't think he may stay because I'm like he made some plays and I would like to keep him just in case somebody got injured. Mertz made some high throws. He's kind of tall. You guys know who I'm talking about. But in the midst of this podcast, I can't think of his
Burt,
name. Burt, that's his name. That's who it is.
Marcus Burks.
Marcus
Yeah,
Burt.
I'm actually really surprised he stayed.
Yeah, because
I'm
he
I'm
made some
surprised.
plays when the ball was thrown to him. He caught it, and it wasn't
I
like
think
easy catches. It was tough catches.
I
Marcus
don't want to
Burt.
speak. I don't want to speak out of place on this in particular, but I think the problem with Marcus Burks is he doesn't give all his all in practice, and that call. Coaches. I don't care who you are. If you're not giving your all in practice, you're not going to get playing time come Saturdays. That was something that plagued Arlis Boardingham early in the season. He was not going, 100% in some of the practices, and the coaching staff, didn't have enough confidence to put him out on the field. You know, you play like you practice. The old adage is. All right, Bodal's next question: where is Keonta Goodwin playing now, if anywhere, and can we get him back? Bo, my understanding is he's done with football for his right now. He's got other things going on. He has no interest in playing football. He I think Louisville reached out to him as well to see if he had any interest, and he's not in a good place. We wish him well. Hopefully he can get his mind right. I know losing a parent, especially at that age, can only, be very hard on a young man. And I don't know the rest of his family situation. So he could have other things going on as well. But the last I heard, his weight was really out of control. So hope the young man, gets whatever he needs out of life and can jump back on it. Bodal's last question: if you could poach any one player from our team, who would it be? And I'm assuming that means if we were running another program, say we were UGA or FSU or.
I'm taking Trey.
Oh yeah, all day. Like that ain't even a question, unless you count as of 2 weeks, 2 weeks ago, and then DJ
DJ.
Lagway gets
Yeah,
into the conversation.
but he's an unknown.
He's an unknown.
I
Yeah.
want
Trey
Trey.
Wilson put on a show. Everybody,
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
take Barkley.
That guy. Yeah,
That's an easy pickup
yeah.
right there.
Give me
I,
that guy.
I have to imagine that young man's NIL re-up was
Yeah,
fun.
it was special.
Uh, Marshall DePriest asks, do you feel like we have honestly improved the roster enough to be competitive with our upcoming schedule? Wes, I know you already touched on some of that when you answered Lucas's question. And me and you can kind of banter this about, because we're going to do a schedule breakdown. We've talked about it in other shows, but I think the key to this schedule is getting in front of it.
Hmm.
Your easy parts of the schedule are at the beginning. If you can get out the gate 5-1, maybe 6-1, hey, you got something. You got a lot of teams breaking in new quarterbacks or new coaches. The schedule's not as daunting on the front half as it is those last 5 games. If you can get out in front of it, I think we definitely. And if you've listened to our interview by now with Justice Boone, you'll have heard him talk about how he felt like they were already a better team than the year before, and that he feels like now they'll be a better team going into this year because it's just so much growth and continuity. I mean, now you've got a defensive coordinator for 2 years in a row, which we didn't have last year. you know,
Sometimes the record that is not indicative of what
indication
the
at all.
yeah,
Yeah.
as far as the process. And we've chronicled this during the season and after the season as well. There were three games that we feel like this team should have won. Florida State, both teams didn't have their starting quarterbacks, and we were up and we were at home. We should have won. The Arkansas game, we chronicled, we should have won. And the Missouri game, we should have won. Those are games that if you're put in that same position, I mean, even going into those games, they were picked as losses. Maybe not the Arkansas game, but Missouri and Florida State were picked as losses. Even without our quarterback and they without their quarterback, those two teams were better. Florida State was better than us as far as coming to the game without their quarterback. Because they weren't undefeated. We should have won that game. Missouri, top 10 team, should have beat them. At Missouri, we were at Missouri and we should have beat them. So Merstone gets hurt, we do win the game. So we'll see what happens this year. The guys are there, the talent is there. We have guys on both sides of the ball that can make plays, and hopefully that can come to fruition this year.
Ryan Parker asks, sleeper pick to make a big impact this season.
That's a good question. Is it on me first?
I'll go ahead and take it while you're thinking of who you'd like to go, because I was reading it, so I was already thinking. Jakeem Jackson for me. I think Jakeem Jackson with another year in the program, new strength and conditioning coach and whatnot. I think Jakeem's going to put some muscle on where he can't get bodied as much by some of these bigger receivers he'll play against. Last year, got to remember, it was a true freshman playing at a very light. If that kid was over 175 pounds, I wouldn't believe it unless he was standing on a scale right in front of me. He was very thin.
Yeah.
And you saw it against bigger wide receivers. They give him that shiv with that arm and knock him off the play.
Yeah.
I think this is the year where he takes that jump now. He puts on some muscle mass and he's ready. And then he can be more physical with the wide receiver he's guarding. And God knows, until Devin Moore can show he's going to be healthy, Jakeem Jackson's going to get some burn.
Yeah. And to piggyback off that, my guy is I'm gonna name two guys. I'm gonna go with Denson on as far as the nickel, and I'll go with Andy Jean, who we have house. If this offense is gonna be what we want it to be, somebody's gonna have to help Trey on the outside, and I'm gonna go with Andy Jean being healthy this year, coming in this year healthy. We all knew Trey was special, but we all thought that Andy Jean was like this elite route runner type guy, like a Mark Cooper type that runs these excellent routes and is explosive. So I want to see what he can bring to the table year two. We were thankful that he stayed and didn't transfer away. So to a guy to help Trey out on the outside, I want to see if Andy Jean can be that third six type of receiver. We know anytime break when they're going to need that guy on third and six to make those catches, and I'm hoping that Andy Jean is that guy.
Honorable mention goes to Trey Webb. I think
It
Trey
was
Webb
toss.
showed
Yeah.
enough. I think Trey Webb showed enough last year that he's not really a sleeper pick.
Yeah,
That's why I
that's my
didn't.
point. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I kind
He
of
was in my
get the
mind
feeling.
for offense. Yeah,
Yeah. I think Trey. I know things look better for Cam Carroll than we originally thought, and God knows I hope he plays. I really, really do. I hope God has healed the young man and he is able to go and get after it. Um, but I would imagine, especially early in the season, even if he can play, he's going to be a little more limited. Um,
yeah,
Trey Webb's going to get burned. I mean, it's just the way it is.
yeah.
All right. Braden McNew asks, who is a former Gator that you now dislike? It may be tough to answer. NTN comes to mind. Curious if you can
Oh my
think of any
God,
players.
it's gonna be first again. Wow. Um, I don't know. There's a guy that I dislike. I
Jesse
guess we're
Palmer.
gonna. I don't dislike Jesse. Jesse keeps it real. I like Jesse. Some fans, I'm
Jesse
okay with Jesse.
Palmer annoys me.
I and he said Trevor, and that triggered me, and I'm gonna go with Trevor because I feel like he could have gone. I'd rather him going to Clemson and beat Georgia week 1 than go to Georgia and try to beat Clemson week 1. So I'm gonna go with Trevor because you went to a rival team. This new age of the transfer portal, I don't hate or dislike many Gators out there. So Trevor's gonna have to wear that belt tonight.
I think Jesse Palmer and Doug Johnson are actually going to get a 1A, 1B from me because I had to deal with dang Doug Johnson being the quarterback of the Falcons for a while there, and that just brings up so many bad memories. All right. Justin Woods has some questions for us. Justin, as always, thank you for your questions. How many of you guys are going to the Orange and Blue game? As you can see right now, it's just me and Wes. Justin, CJ, like we said, still out with the baby duty. We'll have to see. Obviously, new baby in the house. It's going to be hit or miss for him. I'm looking it over though. I'm really thinking about it. I don't know if Wes will be able to make it or not. Obviously, that's a quite a trip for him from South Carolina. But stick your head in our Facebook chat if any of y'all aren't part of it. We're trying to coordinate maybe us going to some games this year, maybe even the Miami game first of the year. Justin then asked, do you think the Gators have added enough to the transfer portal to add some wins to the team this year? Justin, if you're listening, you already heard us answer that question a couple of times. I mean, I truly do think we have. You've just got to get ahead of that schedule. And finally, his last question, because obviously you asked some baseball questions, and once again, CJ's not here. Sorry. We'll get him next week. He said he's going to be back, but he just got home from the hospital, and we're going to give him some rest time. What freshman do you think breaks out this season, one on offense and one on defense? Well, I can tell you on defense, Miles Graham or Aaron Childs are kind of a 1A, 1B for me on that. I think either one of those guys could absolutely step up and get significant playing time and get an all SEC freshman, nod. On the offense, though, I'm really not sure. It could be one of the running backs might get some play this year. I mean, obviously DJ is an easy answer, but I don't think he's going to play enough to be a breakout. I mean, I don't know on offense who to really tell you to be. You might see one of the receivers get some playing time, depending on how that room shakes out. But Fletcher Westphal might be the easy answer too, given that our offensive line is so questionable. So, offense is an unknown for me on that one, Justin. I really don't know how the offense is going to shake out as far as the true freshman goes. Hopefully, we don't have to see many of them next year. But But guys, that's pretty much going to do it for this week. As Wes got back with us, Wes had some technical difficulties there, but he's trying to get back in with us. But only had a handful of questions this week, guys. But as always, guys, make sure you go out there and check out the Justice Boone interview if you haven't got to see it already. Some really good responses to some questions by Justice. We sure did appreciate having him on and all the information he was able to share with us. And as always, guys, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the video, download us wherever you get your podcast from. Wes, you got anything to say?
Nah, just appreciate you guys' support. We thank you guys. We love you guys, and we all Gator Nation. And like her said, check out that interview. Justin dropped some good jewels about the leadership, about where he's at in his rehab, and how his outcome on the season is looking like. So if you're watching this and hadn't watched the previous video that we dropped on Wednesday, check that out, and make sure you subscribe and like and drop a comment in the comments.
Yeah, if you have a question for next week's episode, drop it in the comments below. Check out the Facebook group and the Facebook chat. But until then, guys, go Gators.
Go Gators.